All right, welcome to the 5-day bar chord challenge live Q&A. Here's how this is going to work. I'm going to give you a quick review of what we went over in the 5-day bar chord challenge. I'm going to address some frequently asked questions, and of course, I'm going to take your questions and small wins live. So let's get started. My name is Tony Policastro. I'm part of an underground group of acoustic guitar enthusiasts you've probably never heard of. We're not here to play face-melting guitar solos or judge other guitar players. Our purpose is much greater than that. For us, it's about expanding our quality of life through music and having fun with our guitar, not just mastering it. Getting better at guitar is proof that we do have what it takes to be a guitar player, which means we can build stronger bonds with friends and create lasting musical family traditions. But if you asked a guitar snob or a music academic, they would turn up their nose and say their way is better. Yet this way of seeing the guitar is changing lives every single day. We follow a specific framework and set of values that keeps us focused on what matters most: human connection, constant progress, and fun. It's happening, and we call it living the acoustic life. This is our acoustic life, and these are our stories. All right, welcome to the 5-day live 5-day bar chord challenge Q&A. I am so glad you are here with us on this fine Wednesday morning. And of course, joining me today is Sir Noah Jacob Heckman Jr., the first, and Levi, the flannel-wearing man with the technical plan over there. We are here for you today to answer some questions on bar chords. You guys are fantastic. Thanks for being here. Good morning. Cheers to you guys.
Hey,
and cheers to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I brought the coffee this morning.
It's true. It's true, and it was a lifesaver.
And it's rocket fuel.
We're gonna be going through some things real quick. So first, what exactly is the 5-day bar chord challenge? Well, in Tony's Acoustic Challenge, you log in, and every day you have something to play. So there's an exercise waiting for you. And for the last week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, there was an exercise dedicated to getting stronger, clearer bar chords, making them that much more attainable, so that when they come up in a song, they don't send you, running the other direction or trying to find some alternative chords. And bar chords are truly, they're downright a pain in the butt. I still don't love them, but I have learned to love their attributes. And of course, being that they are very functional pieces of guitar playing, I thought, you know what, I have to learn to love these, hence the bar chord challenge. And here we are after having gone through the bar chord challenge, and there were so many different questions that came up, and I cannot wait to dig into those, and I cannot wait to dig into the ones that you have live here today, and of course the small win report that we'll do here, maybe throughout, maybe at the end, depends on how Noah's feeling. But speaking
we've already got them rolling. So
it's true.
I'm already copying and pasting over. We're good.
Yeah.
So if small wins occurred during the 5-day bar chord challenge, if they happened during today's live Q&A, please put hashtag small wins in the comments. Noah will pick up on that. He'll do some magical computation, and then we'll celebrate those at the end. So without further ado, let's dive into what exactly happened on the 5-day bar chord challenge. So Monday we started with an exercise that was focused on limbering up your finger, basically your index finger, which is the basis for both the E-shaped bar chord and the A-shaped bar chord. Then we moved on to the next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday. We're focused on those two shapes, the E shape and the A shape. And let me show you what those are real quick, just so that we're all on the same page. The E-shaped bar chord is this one here, where your index finger essentially addresses and frets everything on the first fret. Your ring finger, the 3rd fret of the A, pinky finger, 3rd fret of the D, middle finger, 2nd fret of the G, and then that's your full E-shaped chord. Now, this is not an E chord, just to be clear. This is an E-shaped chord because it's derived from the open E chord. You move it up 1 fret forward, lay the index finger down, it's now a bar chord. It's still an E-shaped bar chord, and in this position it happens to be an F chord. And then we focused on Wednesday on the A-shaped bar chord. Again, the shape. And that was essentially this shape here, where your index finger is really responsible for fretting, let's say, the 2nd fret of the A string, and your ring finger handles the 4th fret of the D, G, and B string. That's the A-shaped bar chord. Now that, again, is derived from the open A chord, hence the name A-shape. So those were the 2 chords that we focused on, just getting familiar with on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then on Thursday and Friday, we really dug deep into those specific shapes in terms of their individual note clarity and also kind of overall stamina. The exercise is really focused around holding the shape down, playing it 1 string at a time, strumming it, and then really evaluating it. And the same was done for the A shape as well on Friday. So that was the full course of the 5-day bar chord challenge. Now, these 2 shapes, the reason I chose them was that they're so popular. They're the most functional bar chord shapes that I use frequently in my playing. Again, although I don't love them, they have their place, and I'll get to that here in a second. But the reason I chose these is because these are the shapes that I think you will find the most useful once you kind of tackle that physical barrier. Because these are hard shapes. These are hard chords to accomplish. And that was really the first overarching question. I didn't pick any individual one out regarding the difficulty of the shapes. But I wanted to just quickly say that, the 5-day bar chord challenge was designed to give you exercises so that you can use those in your routine, your practice routine. By no means in 5 days are you going to have perfectly clean bar chords. And to be quite honest with you, I don't have perfectly clean bar chords every single time I play them either. And that's totally okay. But these exercises were really designed to give you a wider swath of things to add to your practice routine so that you can start to develop strength and more confidence in your bar chords. And judging from the small wins and the light bulb moments that happened during the 5-day challenge that people left in the comments, it sounds like there were some major things happening. But there were also some questions, which I'm going to pull some questions from the comments right here. There was a lot of questions on this particular aspect of playing bar chords. So Christian, Till, Stephen, and I believe there was one more, Barry and Ken. So a lot of questions on thumb position. I'll just read a couple so you can get the vibe of what exactly people were curious about. Hi, everyone. Would it be possible to show a picture on the thumb position? I find that my thumb keeps wanting to slant to the left. Is it correct? I do believe it's supposed to be as straight or parallel to the index finger. Thanks in advance. And then Till followed up with, what about your thumb behind the neck? In which position is it? So let me actually give you a picture so you can see what's going on here. So in terms of my thumb, I'm looking at it to try and describe it right now. I'm going to do a quick spin around here. Hopefully this works. My thumb, this is on the E-shaped chord. My thumb is essentially in the middle of the neck. And I kind of have this weird double-jointed thumb, so I actually use this knuckle. It's kind of locked here, and I push the neck right on the peak of its profile. My index finger, just for reference, is right about here. So you can kind of see that's my relationship to the index finger. It's not directly behind the index finger, but rather in the middle. And the reason I position it there is because that's the overall weak point of the chord. I don't have a lot of strength in the middle of the chord. My index finger provides a really good base. My thumb pushes, of course, my fingers into the frets. So that's happening during the weak part of the chord. And then I have a more strong portion of the chord with my ring and pinky finger here. So really, try and positioning that thumb just a little bit in front of your index finger is not so bad. But for me, it's definitely on the high point of the neck profile. That's exactly where I like to position my thumb. And then I'll switch to the A-shaped chord here. And that's very similar, but my thumb actually scoops a little bit below the neck profile. It's still right in front of the index finger on that quote-unquote weak point of the chord. So hopefully that helps with the thumb position. It's really, there's not, with bar chords, there's not, and as I get to some more questions, you'll find out, there's not one particular right way and one particular wrong way. You can't really, there's definitely things that I want you to watch out for, but in terms of thumb position, I want you to be a little bit flexible in that. That's the thumb position that I use, slightly in front of the index finger, top of the neck profile, right at that peak. And then, of course, for that A-shaped chord, I'm a little bit below the neck profile. But that's after years of just messing with thumb position. Originally I tried a broom handle grip where my thumb was just over the top, which didn't give good results at all. But slowly I've learned that having that thumb right on the middle of the profile, right in front of the index finger, is what works for me. So I would encourage you to try that out. Hopefully it works for you. And again, feel free to experiment. With bar chords, it's not like one day the light switch goes on and you get it. It's this constant evolving relationship where when I was first playing, I thought that I had to get the full chord, all 6 strings, and I had to get it all right, and I had to get it all right now, and everything had to be absolutely clear. And the further I went on, and the more players I talked to, I realized that was a great goal to strive for, but I was essentially eliminating certain chords from my vocabulary because I couldn't make them. So I've learned different ways to address them. If I don't have all the strings ringing clear, I'll actually just ignore some of the strings. And that's a case in point would be that A-shaped chord. I can get that high E string. I can make it ring, but it's not very consistent. So really, I basically just mute it and totally ignore it. And that's totally okay. I still get the good body of the chord, the good sound of the chord. It's just that high E string is missing. So that was a little bit of a tangent, but the point I wanted to make was feel free to experiment with thumb position and also index finger position. And I'm actually going to show you a couple modifications of that here later on. So on to the next couple of questions. Both Patty and Stu had a very similar question. Patty says, is it me or does anybody else's wrist start to hurt after running through this exercise a couple times? Am I doing something wrong? And then Stu follows up and says, bar chords are all tough for me, so this exercise is great. I have to agree with John. My forearm was on fire. I think I need to build on strength in my arms as well as the index finger, or am I simply just doing this wrong?
Russell just asked basically the same question. So this is for you, Russell.
Okay.
That's right. The questions are coming in.
Good.
On the bar chord.
Yeah, if there's anything that pops up, you can feel free to interject. But let me do this one real quick. First and foremost, with playing guitar, whether you're doing bar chords or just having an ultra-long practice session or something like that, really monitor pain. And this is coming, I'm not a doctor. I know you're surprised. This is coming from just the standpoint of if there's certain kind of muscle soreness that can occur, but there's joint pain that can occur as well. If you're getting more towards the joint pain end of the spectrum, like something's really hurting, stop playing. Give yourself a rest. Please give yourself a rest. If it's kind of muscle soreness, also give yourself a rest, but realize that that's not necessarily the worst thing. I mean, we are using muscles, really tiny muscles in our forearm and in our hands, so those can get sore. Much like if you go to the gym after not having gone for a long time and you lift some weights, you wake up the next morning and you think, holy cow, I'm falling apart. Your muscles are just sore because they're getting used to the activity. Same thing is true with bar chords. So muscle soreness is okay, joint pain is not okay. In both cases, I'll recommend just kind of taking a step back and giving yourself a break because this is more of a marathon. This is not a sprint. Developing good solid bar chords, good confident, consistent, clean bar chords is something that happens over time. It's not something that happens, you make one quick tweak and all of a sudden it's better. Yeah, there's tips and things, but remember, this is kind of a long haul thing. So in terms of experiencing pain, I would say that I think the initial notion with bar chords is to just really grab hold of the neck and just white knuckle everything. You just want to, it's almost like you're choking the guitar neck. But that's not entirely necessary. So I would encourage you, for those of you who are experiencing pain of any sort, be it soreness or joint pain or anything like that, start to experiment with the amount of pressure that you actually have to use. again, the initial urge is to just grab the neck and squeeze like hell, just to try and get all those strings down nice and firm and solid. But I would urge you to start with a heavy grip like that, and then slowly lessen your grip and actually start to feel how much true pressure is necessary to get a good sounding chord. Okay, so that's the first step. The second step is to actually use your picking arm. Okay, this elbow, the part that actually goes over the guitar body, is very useful in bar chords. You can actually use it, I'm going to exaggerate this, but you can use it to press the guitar top, and that's going to move the neck forward, right? Well, if your hand is fretting the strings and you push the neck into your hand, that actually gives you just another little piece, another little advantage in not using so much fretting pressure, but actually using other tools that you have. So actually using that picking hand can press those strings to the frets just a little bit more, so you don't have to use so much fretting pressure, but just a nice good solid bar chord that you don't have to, of course, experience any pain. On the same front of pain, these 5 days were dedicated to bar chords, and it was pretty intense. I mean, and then that being the case, I remember when Levi and I recorded these lessons, I mean, by the end, I was struggling. The clarity of my bar chords went from really good to not very consistent at the end of the filming session. And that's just basic fatigue setting in. And that's totally okay. And I think it's okay to recognize that and be like, wow, I worked my butt off on these chords, and you know what? I'm tired. I got to take a break. That's totally fine. It's not a cop-out. It's actually better for you to take a break, rest, recover, and then try it again. Another question that I saw, and I didn't pull this one off, but one of them was there was a lot of problems with this kind of area in between the index finger and the thumb. I call it the drumstick of the thumb, or kind of the webbing of the thumb. And it's really important when you're undergoing this kind of, call it training, that you stretch your hand. Both your picking and fretting hand, just to kind of be equal on both sides. But one of the stretches that really helps this area is to take your hand and kind of like so. With your opposite hand, grab your thumb, not hard, we're not trying to rip it off here, but just slowly start pulling it down towards the floor. And by doing this, you're actually stretching that muscle in your thumb. And a lot of you who have been experiencing pain in that area or soreness in that area, you'll immediately realize why I love this stretch, because it really loosens up the thumb and kind of gives it a little bit more mobility and just kind of, it makes it more supple so it doesn't feel as rigid. So stretching is really crucial. There's also another item that I'll recommend, and I can't remember. It's basically a big wooden ball with 4 legs, and it's got a smiley face on it. I put it in one of the kits in one of the courses. I can't remember which one. But you can actually use it to massage out this muscle. So that's another option as well. So keep that in mind in terms of pain. But just remember, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. Any questions coming at you?
Yes. Oh,
yeah?
yes.
You want to throw one in there?
Yeah.
So many
I mean, if you're ready.
Yeah, well, one at the top is, please be noticing something different with your hand over there, Tony.
Yeah, the hand's a big topic this morning.
Oh,
big topic.
Yeah. Well, it's my bar chord celebration. I finished the 5-day bar chord challenge, and I thought I needed to undergo a lot more pain. So yeah, my friend Olivia Hogan at Aether Tattoo Club down in Four Corners, who's done a lot of my work, she put this nice mandala on my hand, and it's still healing, but it's to the itchy phase right now, so I'm just trying to not think about it. But thank you for noticing.
Could you say she put a Nelson on your hand?
A Nelson? No, just a mandala. Yeah,
Sorry,
I see what. Yeah,
that was
good.
dumb.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. All right, can we do somewhat of a semi-speed round of questions?
Yeah, I'll try my
because
best.
they definitely came in.
For sure.
All right, so Mark asks, it says, can you address how much tension there is on the index finger? It always looks like the pressure is gentle, but I seem to be clamping down hard to get the strings to ring correctly.
Yeah, that's a great question, a common question. So the index finger, I think the common myth is that you want to be flat on all your fingers, nice and square up to the strings. But in the case of the index finger in a bar chord, this is all softer flesh on the front of your index finger. So by rotating, I'm going to exaggerate this, by rotating your index finger to the side, this is a much harder surface to fret. Rather, it's a much stiffer surface so that you'll get better contact with the strings and less fuzzy or thuddy notes. So when you're doing that bar chord, what I like to imagine is that side part is kind of the bony part of my index finger. That I just rotate towards the headstock just a little bit. That actually helps with the amount of pressure is required on my index finger, but there's another tip that I'll offer here as well. One of the exercises was kind of that on-off button, where you start to think of the chord as a button, and by pressing it on, you get sound, and by removing pressure, the sound turns off. So you go through each string. It's kind of that on-off button thing. And right there, I want you to take special note in that exercise, because that exercise is designed to help you really to help you realize how much pressure is necessary throughout the bar chord in each portion of the bar chord. And in the case of the index finger, it's really you'll see that my index finger is arched because I'm putting the most pressure on the top, on the low E string, and then of course more pressure on the high E and B string. The middle strings, I'm not really focusing a lot of my efforts on, hence the arch in my index finger. So by rolling to the side, introducing that arch, and really visualizing and feeling what pressure is necessary on each part of the chord, you can start to tailor the amount of pressure you have and distribute it accordingly through the bar chord, which is really important. A lot of people will focus on the index finger because, well, gosh, it seems like it has the biggest job. But it's really only holding down, when you think about it, 3 strings in this scenario, in this E shape, the major E shape scenario. So I would really focus on that exercise and also rotate that index finger and introduce the arch. I think it'll help a lot for you.
Can we tag on to that one?
Sure.
So Will asks, he says, when I try to rotate my finger to the side to bar, usually one of my knuckles is right over a string and I lose sound. Am I rotating too far?
I would say no, but here's something to try. And I've read actually, this is great because some of the comments and questions that were left on the lessons, you guys are asking here. This is perfect. Mess with the orientation of your index finger. We're all built differently. Some of us have bigger knuckles than others, and some of us, have just different shaped fingers, and that's just part of the deal. That's the beauty of our uniqueness, right?
Yes.
So I would actually start experimenting with how high your index finger is or how low your index finger is. You might realize that, holy cow, I don't need my whole entire fingertip protruding over the guitar neck. I just need a little bit up there, and that gives me a nice clean chord. Or conversely, you might say, gosh, I need to really extend that so I can get those higher strings. So mess with that orientation, that relationship, okay? It's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all thing. So rotating your index finger is a great start, but then starting to mess with that orientation to see what fits well for you will really help kind of refine your approach to the bar chord. And then when you find something that fits, kind of sit with it for a while. Take your hand off and then see if you can get right back to that same position, because there you're going to start training muscle memory. So once you find a recipe that works for you, all I want you to do, give it like 4 strums, good clean strums, take a break, shake out your hand, try and get back to that same exact position again. It seems silly, but it really does a lot for muscle memory and confidence in getting to that good sounding bar chord position.
Tony, do you get cramped with repetitive bar chords too? Brian asks.
Absolutely. In fact, as I mentioned before, that the filming session. So we filmed 5 days worth of bar chord exercises in, was it an hour?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
30, 45 minutes.
And by the end of that, I was very, very tired. I was very fatigued, and it showed in the clarity of my chords. A lot of those exercises, the run-throughs, that was probably the 11th, 14th, 20th take on some of those, just because I wasn't getting the clarity that I wanted, because I was downright fatigued. I had been doing bar chords for an entire hour, and only bar chords. So again, have patience with yourself with this because it's fatigue will set in. Of course, it'll set in at different rates depending on how often you use bar chords. So keep that in mind as well.
All right. Can you quickly address, same from Brian, the difference between the bar chord and a power chord?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So a bar chord is a movable chord shape. A power chord is a movable chord shape. So what the heck is the difference? Well, a bar chord takes into account the full 3 notes necessary to create a major or minor chord. We call that the triad. So a bar chord has all 3 notes of a major or minor chord represented. The first, the third, and the fifth. Okay, real quick mini theory lesson. That middle note, the third, is what's responsible for making a chord major or minor. A power chord removes the third, so you only have the first and the fifth left. Let me actually give you an example. So a bar chord, this is an E-shaped bar chord on the 3rd fret, making it a G chord. Nice full chord, sounds good, sounds very clearly major. And then if I make this chord minor, it sounds very clearly minor. A power chord doesn't have that tonality because that middle note is removed. So it's neither major nor minor. It's just an interval that we can move around. Right? So if I played that true to the key of G and took into account major and minor tonality, it would sound like this. With a power chord, I'm removing that third, hence removing the tonality of it, making it neither major nor minor, and it would sound like this. So by removing one of the notes in the chord, the third, the crucial portion of the chord, making it major or minor, essentially you're making the chord a little bit more adaptable, because it can fit in a major or minor setting, which is why you see a lot of, power chords are great songwriting tools. Power chords, you see it in punk music, rock music, you see it everywhere. In fact, a lot of times I'll use power chords if I'm trying to get through a song and I can't quite figure out what the chords are. I might be able to find the root of the chord, but I might not be able to tell if it's major or minor, so I'll actually use a power chord in that instance to kind of fill the gap. That was a great question. Really good question.
All right. So in the power chord, are you barring all 6 strings?
Thank you. No, I'm not. I forgot about that. So all I'm doing for the power chord, in the case of the E-shaped power chord, I'm just focusing on the E, A, and D string. The other string, the G, B, and high E, those are all muted. On the A-shaped chord, I'm focusing on just the A, the D, and the G string. Everything else is muted. So yeah, they're just 3-string chords. Or that's how I use them the most, is those 3-string chords.
Okay, you want to pick up your guitar again?
Yeah, sure. I'm afraid I'm going to hit it on the desk, but maybe by moving it back and forth, it's making it worse.
That's valid. That's valid. It's valid. So back to the bar chord. Where did I see it? Anyway, I was asking about what do you do with the E string? Oh yeah, the Freddie K13. How are you muting the high E on the A-shaped bar chord?
So really what I'm doing on that A-shaped bar chord, this is a little trick that I learned. I think my dad showed me this trick, pretty sure. I'm really only focusing my fretting efforts on that A string and simply laying the finger very lazily across the other strings. So I'm actually muting that high E string with my index finger. So in terms of the actual barness of this A shape, most of it comes from the ring finger, not the index finger. I'm just fretting one note with that index finger. And that's how I achieve that muted high E string.
Cool. All right, now, Stephen asks, can you recommend advice for an E minor shaped bar chord? Can never get the G and B strings to stop buzzing. And he just tied to that, any advice for that bar chord? Much tougher than the E sharped bar.
like
or
E major.
major bar. Yeah.
So just real quick, so we have that major E shape, and then by removing that middle finger from the equation, that actually makes that same shape minor. And you'll see what I did there. So by removing that middle finger there, that basically makes the chord very weak in this area, and it, in my experience, it transfers to the index finger. So the index finger actually becomes weaker when you remove that middle finger. So what I do is once I remove that middle finger, I immediately sandwich my index finger so that the middle finger is actually helping out my index finger. And that's what allows me to get cleaner D and G string. So use that middle finger as kind of a helper. That's not cheating. There's this feeling, you know, and I get it too, because when I was learning this, I was like, God, am I doing this right? I have no gauge of whether or not I'm doing this right. And I guess what I would offer to that question is if it sounds good, it is good. So if you have a good, clean sounding chord and you're using that middle finger to really wrench on the index finger, that's okay. As long as you can get to that position quickly and consistently, that's totally fine. Whatever helps that chord feel good and sound good is exactly what I want you to do.
All right, Donna asks, any tips on how to get to the A-shaped B chord position more quickly? It takes me forever to get the middle finger of my fretting hand out of the way.
Yeah. Let me see. So the A-shaped B position here. So one of the things that has helped me in the past, specifically with that shape, because it's kind of a bear, is I'll actually use my index finger as an anchor. Meaning, so if I go down to the A-shaped B chord, my index finger is kind of landing first. And that's what's helping me orient the other fingers. It's not like I'm just coming from thin air and landing on that shape. That's great in an ideal world, but seldom does that happen. So I need a little bit of guidance. So I look for an anchor point. And that could be different for you than it is for me, but for me it's definitely the index finger. So when I transition to that chord, my index finger will go first, and then I'll assume the rest of the chord shape from there, instead of just trying to slap it on there. So I would recommend trying to, target an anchor point and make that the first touch point on the guitar when you transfer to that chord, when you transition to that chord. From there, you can build the chord from it. It might feel weird because you're like, gosh, that doesn't clean things up. It's just happening even slower now. But that's okay. If you go slow and really get this muscle memory involved and start to develop that muscle memory, you'll start to unfold that chord shape way smoother and way cleaner the more that you do it. So identify an anchor point and use that consistently.
All right, and maybe last one for now, and then we'll hit up some small wins.
Sure.
Arnold asks, I haven't been practicing a lot for a long while. How can I overcome this laziness?
Well, first of all, you can't define it as laziness because that has this negative connotation to it. And I think that's our biggest battle when we think about our practice routine and doing this daily thing, and that's great in an ideal situation. I would practice every single day, all day in an ideal situation. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Life is going to happen. Things are going to pop up, and it's just inevitable. So rather than look at it as laziness, just say, gosh, okay, it's been a while since I played the guitar. I'd love to play for 5 minutes today. And just force yourself to grab the guitar and strum a couple of strings. It doesn't have to be this amazing, elaborate, well thought out, amazing practice session. You just have to play. And really, that little micro commitment can start a full-blown snowball effect. So I would look at definitely remove the laziness word. I mean, because if I'm honest, this week with the pending holidays and different projects that we have going on here, I've really not had a chance to have focused practice in probably the greater part of 6 days now. And it starts to eat at me, but when I remember, like, okay, well, wait, I played the guitar for a couple minutes the other night before I went to bed. That works. All of that stuff adds up. So remove expectations, remove any sense of gauge of how effective your practice is, and just focus on playing. Because I think just by playing, literally, if you sit down and think, oh God, what was that G run again? Just doing that once is keeping your mind active, keeping your mind on the guitar. It's not. I struggle with the exact same thing. I think as guitar players, we all do. We feel like, oh gosh, I'm not practicing. I must not be dedicated to my guitar. I must be really lazy. That's magical thinking. That's just fantastical stuff that we need to try our best to remove from our brain. Easier said than done, I know. But try your best to think about it in a different way. Being like, gosh, it's been a while. I should see if I remember that G run. Don't set any guidelines on your practice other than, I'm just going to play a chord. I'm just going to play a lick that I like. And see what that micro commitment does down the line. So quit trying to. It's very easy to judge our own performance, and we're our own worst critic. I mean, that's a pretty cliche term, but it's very, very true. So try your best to step outside of that and just grab your guitar, play a lick, and put it away, or don't put it away. But just try and remove any of those kind of rigid expectations or rigid standards that you want to place on practice, and opt for just playing the guitar. See if that will start this kind of positive momentum, this snowball.
Hey, sorry, I was making faces with Levi.
I know.
We were both like, yeah, things are great. People are just so many positive comments, and we're like looking at each other like,
we're just
things are so good around here. I mean, people really dig it. That's like a high fiving, and then you're like, so anyway, I'm done.
Well, no, I thought you guys were maybe reacting to what I was saying, but I think it's true. You guys both play. Does the thought cross your mind like, oh gosh, I haven't played in a while?
Yes.
I mean, that's a real struggle.
Yeah, Levi plays like twice a year. So.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like right now I'm really jonesing to play, but because I'm a drummer, I just don't have drums set up in my house, you know.
Yeah.
But absolutely, totally agree.
It's a struggle. I mean, and I think it's a very. I mean, it's a real battle, and I think that question is always relevant, and I think it's always something that we struggle with as musicians, as guitar players, as people wanting to play the guitar, as people that just do it for a hobby. So, yeah.
All right.
Moving on.
Yes. Can I lay out some small wins?
Absolutely. Glasses are feeling funky today.
All right. So, Kevin, his small win. A couple weeks ago, I purchased a new Taylor 312 CE?
Yep.
312 CE.
Nice.
From Matt at Eddie's Guitar.
Oh, sweet.
Here in St. Louis.
Nice.
Awesome.
Great place to buy a guitar. Am I on by chance, or am I just audio?
Oh, you're totally not even on. I'm
Oh.
just hanging out over here reading comments. Well, I was gonna say actually before you go to your what were you gonna do small wins?
He was doing
Where were
small
you?
ones.
Guys, can we start that? Can we try that again?
Okay, let's do that again.
But hold on though. What I was gonna say is like right on this topic, you got Michelle, who was like, I wasn't practicing much at all. Started with just the G run, and now I'm up to half an hour almost every day. Started with a micro commitment.
Yeah, awesome.
And then,
awesome job.
And then Don Little Jones was like, I don't have practice sessions. I only have fun playing sessions. That way I never make excuses not to play. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah.
In that, to add to what you were saying. It's like switch what it means in your brain so it doesn't seem like work and it's more like about having fun. So
Absolutely.
Just how can I have fun on guitar right now? I have 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes,
Precisely.
Okay, guys, I'm going to hit the button. You ready for small wins?
All right.
Here we go. There we go.
All right. So let me do that again. Kevin, small win a couple weeks ago. I purchased a new Taylor 312 CE from Matt at Eddie's Guitar here in St. Louis. Great place to buy a guitar. And then I was just going to kind of
Hold it up a little bit higher. What have you got there?
Oh, look at this. I've got an Eddie's T-shirt.
That's a bloody amazing
Where
shirt.
did you get that, Noah?
Matt he sent all of us a T-shirt.
He sent a care package for us.
He did.
He's so
He did.
cool.
It's
He
awesome.
is so
That's
cool.
cool.
Great win.
Actually, he sent some beard oil.
Yeah, he did. He did, and it smells really good.
Yeah.
It's really good stuff.
Okay, next.
All right, Bradley, small win. I played an original song in front of a couple of my friends, and they still like me.
Yes.
Sharon, small win. Testing some new strings from Martin, And between that and the week-long challenge, I found I can actually do bar chords so much easier now.
That's fantastic, Sharon. I actually let me just quickly. I'm just going to quickly interrupt. I noticed one of your comments about lighter strings versus heavier strings with bar chords, and definitely strings with a lower tension. So like any set of light strings will have less tension than say a medium set, and of course. The Santa Cruz low tension strings are also a great option for those of you who are thinking, God, I feel like I'm battling my guitar. Try just a little bit lighter strings, a little bit lesser tension will go a long way. So good small win, Sharon.
All right, Steven Smallwin, have a much cleaner F chord after last week's practice. Still not perfect, but definitely improved.
Fantastic.
Man, this came up last time. Did I get it? It's Arva. Is that right?
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good job,
Arva, small win. Got my Martin bag by mail today.
Nice.
Small win from Jim. Finger picks are now added to my practice schedule. Thanks for recommendation.
Nice.
Michelle, small win. Applying all this great guitar info to learning the banjo.
Nice. Oh, this is exciting. I'm a ninja banjo geek. I love the banjo, so
And
I'm
by
really
ninja,
excited.
you mean really good?
No. Well, I mean I enjoy playing the banjo a lot.
By ninja, do you mean secret?
Secret. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you're a ninja with several stringed instruments, actually.
Yeah. And bass. And bass. By the way.
Well, when Noah's in the room, not bass. But when Noah's not here,
but you're
bass.
Good. You're good at bass. I've watched you play like live with a full band, and you're like awesome at
It's
bass.
fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It definitely gets your head bobbing a little bit.
All right, Cole, small win. Got an open mic set up right across the street from my apartments.
Hell yes.
Super
Now,
cool.
now I've got a place to jam twice a week. No driving necessary. Also, a girl I've been teaching had her first performance.
Whoa.
That's a magic moment. That's
Yeah.
killer.
By the way, that inspired me, Cole. You saying that is one thing. Maybe you do the same, Tony. One of the best ways to get better at playing is to teach others. And
Oh
so
my gosh,
even my own
absolutely.
students, it's like you need to find somebody to teach.
Absolutely. And I think there's this this feeling that, gosh, I haven't been playing guitar very long. I could never teach somebody else. I don't think that's true. I actually think teaching is the best teacher. Just showing somebody casually, it doesn't have to be a quote-unquote lesson, but just by virtue of showing somebody something else, you have to explain it from a different perspective, and therefore it locks and cements in your memory even more. So good job, Cole. I mean, that's a whole row of wins there.
Can I
Yeah.
jump in on this? This is so fun.
Didn't
So-
Cole just move to this new apartment too?
I think so, but also Cole has been I've run across like he's been teaching. I think it's a fairly new and recent thing.
Yeah, in the last couple months anyway.
But I just wanted to add to that because we've talked about this a lot at HQ where getting people. That's why we want to 2018 coming up with the what do we call that in January? The state of the TAC.
Oh,
address.
State of the
State
TAC
of the-
Union, State of the Union.
Yeah, that's
address.
coming up.
Yeah,
But one of
we
the
haven't
things-
ironed out the name yet.
Yeah, one of the things we're talking about is really putting a lot of effort into the TAC network, and getting into small online groups. And this concept is just what Tony was saying, where you're always a chapter or two ahead of somebody. Doesn't mean you have to be good or like an expert to teach,
Right.
But there's always something that you can offer someone who's just a chapter behind you, and then the other way works as well. So
Absolutely.
really, no matter where you're at, there's still someone behind you, and there's always people ahead of you. So yeah, it's a really cool concept, and it
Absolutely.
Oh man, we can go deep, but I'm gonna stay focused.
okay.
All right.
Sorry,
Tangent alert.
Yeah.
this coffee, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that's we're derailing because of
Yeah.
the coffee.
I am sweating so hard because of the coffee. I'm just like flying.
I'm feeling good though.
Good.
All right, small win from Claudia. Changed strings twice, only bled once.
Nice.
Sharon, thanks for the small win there on my part that I can say Arva correctly. Thank you.
No.
Claudia also has been learning claw hammer style for guitar. Very
Oh,
fun.
nice.
Chuck, small win, was told I don't sound terrible, must be improving.
Nice.
And he also put in there that after the challenge, his bar chords are much clearer.
Awesome. That's
Used to
great
be
to
real
hear.
muddy. Okay, let me bounce back over here. Okay, Emma. I kind of put this under the small wins. She put Acoustic Life TV is the only way to live. I'm going to put that as a small win.
Amen, sister. Yeah.
And last one that I see so far or left. From Brian, he says, able to get through bluegrass rhythm without a mistake, 2 times out of 10.
Nice work. That's stellar.
That's funny.
What?
Cool. He's like, wait, it's our question mark? Yeah.
That's what we
I know.
hear.
I know. That's what I was like. Okay.
Oh man, those are fantastic small wins, and really, I love it. It just does something when I hear those.
Yeah.
I read them, and then just by you saying them out loud, it locks it in, and I think the whole notion that I just want I want to be the takeaway with small wins is that we got to be celebrating these victories that we have, no matter huge or small or somewhere in the middle, because I say this a lot, but so often as a guitar player, we're focused on getting better and the next thing that we have to do or the next thing that we should do, or I have to get better at this so I can do this and that other thing that I have to do. I'm not against goals. I think it's great to look forward, but you gotta take a second and realize how far you've come, even in the last week, even in the last month, year, so on and so forth. I mean, I don't think of this often, but when I do, it makes me really excited and happy when I think of when I started the guitar and the first thing that I learned. Sometimes I'll go back and play that thing. It's the end of I've Just Seen a Face. It's not even the right end of I've Just Seen a Face. It's like that's the first thing I learned, but I started. That's the first thing I learned. And I go back to that, and it makes me, I'm like, holy cow. It used to take me forever to get through that thing. Just those little 5-6 notes. And now I'm like, I can't believe I started there, and I've learned so much, and I still have so much left to learn. Like, it's just it's great to have that perspective. So I really appreciate you all sharing small wins. I think it's really important to keep that positive momentum rolling. Do I have time for one? There was a question that I wanted to get to here that I think would be a great benefit to people. So back to the questions from the lessons during that 5-day bar chord challenge. Kirk asks, I simply don't have the stretch between my first and ring finger to reach the D, G, and B strings, while barring the others with my first finger. This lack of stretch has been an ongoing problem for me for my 2 years of learning guitar. It is quite frustrating, and I've yet to find an exercise that has provided any improvement in this stretch. Tony, question mark? I actually have, you made me think of, you actually made me think of another 5-day challenge, so I want to thank you for this question, Kirk. But I also want to give you an exercise that will help. I described it in the comments, but I want to show it to you. So in terms of having difficulty stretching, we can actually use our guitar to our benefit. And we think, gosh, that's a major stretch. How the heck can I do that? Well, down by the headstock, just by virtue of the scale length of our guitar, the frets are further apart. So if you move that same chord, say up to the 10th and 12th fret, you'll notice that the frets are closer together, so that you might actually be able to achieve that chord and work on the clarity of that chord. So one of the things I want to show you is that if you start here and then slowly work your way towards the headstock, the frets are going to start to get further and further apart, but gradually. So you might not even notice it. But just by doing that, you'll stretch that distance between your index and ring finger out. But here's what I want you to do. It's almost like an investigative mission here. So once you're going down from this 10th fret position, say you reach the 4th fret and you're like, whoa, that's about my limit right there. I want you to move back up 1 fret towards the guitar body and do this simple exercise. When I say simple, I mean it's not difficult to explain, but it's harder to execute. Index finger will start on that 5th fret or wherever you decide to stop. Your ring finger will go up 2 frets from that and fret that note. So it's index, ring, back to the index, and then move that ring up a fret. So it sounds like this. And you can do that on each string. Start on the low E, move to the A, D, G, B, and then high E. Just bumping that ring finger up another fret is going to start to not only build the the flexibility you have in between those two fingers, but also the strength. So that will help you greatly with that stretch between your index and your ring finger. Now, once that gets comfortable in the middle of the neck, again, start to gradually move it towards the headstock end of the guitar. First fret position is going to be by far the most difficult because the frets are the furthest apart. But that'll definitely help that stretch between those two fingers. That was an awesome question, Kirk. Thank you for leaving that on the lesson. Let me see if there's another one that I didn't hit or that wasn't discussed so far. I don't think so. I think that was everything. Yeah. Oh, one of them was that A chord. There was a lot of questions about how to properly do it, and is it cheating if you use a different finger? So some people were saying, I really like using my pinky for that A-shaped chord. That's fine. I just want you to realize one thing with that. It really limits what you can do within the chord shape. And I say this because I learned this little blues thing. I'm actually going to move it up because the frets are closer. So the reason I use my ring finger here is so I can use that pinky to access other things. So that's why I chose to teach the chord the way that I do. But by no means is it the one and only way. If you think, you know what? The pinky's got to be, it's got to be that. That's fine. I just want you to know what could potentially be left on the table if you don't at least try that ring finger way. So that's the reason for that. And that was Barry had asked a question about that, disadvantages of using the pinky over the ring finger. So I think that's it, guys.
Yeah, I think we've got some small wins, and then
Yeah,
we'll wrap it up.
Let's do.
Why, yes, we do.
Go for it, Noah.
All right. David says small win or big win. Had 2 meetups with Minnesota Tat guys in the past week. One acoustic, one electric. Great times.
Oh, nice. We'll let the electric thing slide.
Yeah. The electric slide.
Isn't that a dance?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember doing that at the roller rink.
Yeah.
The Coach Light in Carroll Stream, Illinois. I think it was Carroll Stream.
I always remember that place where there was where line dancing was very popular
Yeah.
or something. Anyways, Kate Smallwin, getting my bar chords under control without too much pain.
Nice.
Cap 10 Malt, didn't practice today. Instead, just jammed on my 3-string cigar box and had so much fun for a change.
That's super rad. I love hearing that. Awesome job.
And last, Donna was saying, small win, she's actually been playing the A-shaped bar chord while watching this.
Unconscious practice is great. I mean, if you're trying to just refine just the muscle memory, I mean, there's nothing better than putting on, American Horror Story or whatever show you might be interested in, and just kind of noodling through the show.
Yeah, no,
I'm into American Horror Story right now. That's what I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
But you could fill in the blank with any TV show that you like.
Right. I told you what you needed to watch, though.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, it looks like wrap this up.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank. First, let me say this. I want to congratulate everybody who went through the 5-day bar chord challenge, who at least gave it a shot. Again, just a reminder: this is a marathon, not a sprint. So the bar chords it's an ever-evolving relationship, something that you'll continue to modify and tweak as you continue your guitar journey. But of course, most of all, just keep it fun. If you alter the chord a little bit and it still sounds good, you know what? That's okay in my book. 2 thumbs up. So thank you very much for sharing your time with us today. I appreciate you guys all being here. Congratulations on all the small wins. Great questions today. And again, good job going through that 5-day bar chord challenge. Kudos to you. And on behalf of all of us here at TAC HQ, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you. We'll see you in the on the website. Cheers, guys.